All right, so I'm recording now. Good morning. Yesterday we were looking through linear equations. This is actually an extremely important topic. So if you missed yesterday's class, it's on YouTube. The link is on the main D2L page. There's a WhatsApp group. I'm sure people could send you the link if you didn't have it there, but you don't need the WhatsApp group. You can just find the link on my own D2L shell. Check the end of the video from yesterday if you weren't in class, because this is quite an important topic. I'm going to do one warm-up question. I'm going to do G for warm-up. What I mean by warm-up is to, it's early, it's Ramadan, we're all tired, hungry, but this will kind of get us ready for the next part. We're going to look at solving equations with fractions. And then I hope, then there's one more part of this. This is like the never-ending section, literal equations. This is very important for anybody moving into the sciences or business. And then that'll take us the first part of class. And then in the second part of class, we will cover word problems. And this is everything your assignment will cover up to topic 7. So I just mentioned before I hit record, your assignment tomorrow, your assignment number 1 will come out tomorrow. It will cover topics 1 to 7, and we should pretty much finish 7 today. Maybe, we'll see, but we'll get into it at least. Okay, so let's go back. Oops, I went way too far. I want to do a warm-up question here. So this question has brackets in it, which makes it a little harder than your normal linear equation. For anybody who can't remember from yesterday, or maybe you weren't here, a linear equation is when we solve for one variable, x, or it doesn't need to be x, it could be a, b, c, but we're solving for one unknown, and it's not squared or cubed, it's just x. And the reason they call them linear, so if you're wondering, this is called a linear equation, is because if you graphed this, it would make a straight line. I don't know if we do graphing, and if we do graphing, it's not until much later in the course. Okay, so step number 1 with a question like G is to get rid of the brackets. The brackets aren't helping us solve. The goal for a linear equation, not literal, linear, is to get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. Now, I'm like a left-right kind of person. What I mean is I like the x's on the left, the numbers on the right. It really doesn't matter, but typically the way I learned it and the way most people learn it is x's on the left, numbers on the right. And again, it honestly doesn't matter as long as on one side of the equation you have x and the other side you have numbers. All right. So step number 1, get rid of your brackets. Now I'll zoom in here. Okay. I like that. That was pretty good. It might be a bit too close, but we'll see. Step number 1, get rid of the brackets. I do what's called the distributive property. I'm going to distribute or multiply these numbers into my brackets to get rid of the brackets. Now watch out for negatives. So this is negative 2x plus 6 minus 3x equals negative 12x plus 24 minus 2. So, the big, like I've been teaching science and math for way too long, 10, 11, 13 years or something. If you count the time I worked at as a high school instructor or teacher, it's almost like 14, 15 years. Crazy. I'm old. Maybe 14 years. Anyways, the big mistake that most students can make here is they just mess up the integers. So, and I made a couple of mistakes yesterday myself, so it can happen. Just try to be a little careful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 12 over, and I'm going to move the 6 over. And what this means is I'm going to get all x's on the left. Well, I'm working on getting all x's on the left, all numbers on the right. So negative 2x minus 3x. I'm going to add a 12x. I'll explain that in a minute. And then I get 24 minus 2. Sorry about that noise. And then minus 6. Now, before I go any further, let me check the chat because you guys typically tell me if I make a mistake. All right, I'm getting an answer for G from Samira, so I'll check this out in a second, see if you're right. Let's see. Okay, now I need, well, okay, first, what happened? What did I just do? Well, when I move these numbers, so I move the 6 and I move the 12x. When they go across an equal sign, they become the opposite. And there's something I wrote the other day. Plus, minus, multiply, divide. When you move something across an equal sign, it turns into its opposite value or opposite operation. So anything that's been added becomes a negative or subtracted. So like the plus 6 over here on the left became a negative 6. Anything subtracted becomes positive. So my negative 12x became positive 12x. So, excuse me, when we move it across the equal sign, it becomes the opposite sign. If it's multiplied, you're going to see this in a minute. It turns into divide. And if it's division, it turns into multiplication. So back to this question. I'll go back to red again. First, I need to simplify each side. So what's this? Negative 5 plus 12 is a 7x. Equals, what's this? 22 minus 6, 18? No, 16? It's too early for my brain to work, really. Yeah, 16. And then the other side, just double check on my work here. Okay, cool, looks good. So now that I have this done, I am going to solve for the x. The x, unfortunately, has a 7. Sorry, let me change my color. Ooh, I didn't know I could do that. Okay, cool. Has a 7 that's multiplied. So when I move the 7 over, it becomes divide. Now, what we typically do in math is we say that we're going to divide both sides by 7. But the idea is when you move it over, it becomes divide. So because it's multiplied, it turns into division. And there's your answer. I don't think it gets simplified, right? 16 over 7, there's really no numbers that go into that. Now I'm going to check the chat and make sure I'm okay. You guys are the ones that are fixing my mistakes. Yeah, so I'm getting, Bilal is saying 16 over 7. Some people are saying 18 over 7. So let me just check my work. That's good, that's good. Positive 24. Plus 6. I think
it's 16 over 7.
Yeah, it is 16 over 7. So, whew, I was nervous because I made so many mistakes yesterday. Sometimes it's hard to get your brain in the mood for math, right? So there we go, 16 over 7. When I'm teaching chemistry or something, we only use our calculators, and we don't use nice numbers like this. So we use like crazy decimals and scientific notation. So it's been a while since I worked out my brain. Your brain is like a muscle, and if you don't exercise it, by doing puzzles or practicing, you kind of lose some muscle. It's not really a muscle, it's like a muscle. I don't know. I'm not a biologist, but I know that sometimes if I haven't taught math in a semester or two, sometimes I make silly mistakes. All right, cool. 2 parts left of topic 6. Guys, between us, wink, 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 is when I make a winky face, I mean, it's very important for you guys to know. Topic 6 is very important. Okay. Unit conversions, the number system, not as important as topic 6. So, when you're studying in a month or something, or month and a half for your final exam, something like topic 6 is much more important than converting units or knowing what a real number is or an imaginary number. Like, trust me, topic 6, very important. So I've already hinted at this a few times. What do we do when we have an equation with a fraction? Well, I told you earlier, like a minute ago, if something is divided like a fraction, remember, division is just a fraction. So like when somebody says 1 divided by 2, sorry, that's just 1 over 2. If you want to get rid of a fraction, you can move fractions by turning them into multiply. So instead of, like, if you look at this example, instead of having the x divided by 5, I can move it here and have it multiplied. Now, the mathematical way to do that is to multiply both sides by the same number, and again, they cancel. So it's it's very similar to dividing by the same number. If we want to get rid of a division sign, we multiply by the same number. Now, let's look at this one, number 2, much harder. And we will practice this, by the way. Number 2, much harder. There's a problem here. Number 2 is a good one. Again, I'll put a little winky face by number 2. There's a lot of fractions here. We don't like fractions. Fractions are hard to work with. Fractions are confusing. Well, not to most people. Fractions are confusing. We want to get rid of them. I know myself, I personally would love to get rid of all of these fractions. But how do I do it? Well, I need to multiply all of these fractions by the same number to get rid of the number. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is the number? So look at we call it the denominator. The denominator is the bottom of the fraction. Look at the bottom of the fraction and come up with a number that they all are multiples of, meaning like 5 and 3, think of a number that 5 and 3 are multiples of. So like, let me bring you through my brain process here. Think of 5, 10, 15, 20, right? So think of 5. I'll do this on the bottom here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, think of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. You'll notice that they both share a multiple. It's called a common multiple, and it's actually the lowest common multiple, and it's 15. If I can multiply everything here, I'm circling up top. If I can multiply everything there by 15, the brackets will disappear. You'll see me do this in a minute, by the way. If anybody doesn't like I find these hard to learn from, I'll do one of these in a minute. But I multiply everything by 15. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and so on. I write down what's left, and then I solve like normal. Let's do one. Oh, don't worry about this, by the way. Fractions are fine. I don't care about mixed numbers. So let's do one together. Well, there's another one. There's 3. Okay. Let me quickly show you this one, and then we'll do a couple together. It'll make more sense, if I can do something like E or F with you. But let me show you one more and then I will practice a few. The only difference between 3 and 2, or example 2 and 3, is that because these terms on the top are so big, when I multiply them all by 4, and I'll explain to you where that comes from in a minute, I need to put the whole thing in brackets. So everything gets multiplied by that number. Now you'll notice in this case, the 4's cancel and we're just left with a 1. So that's easy. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my 2 goes here. And then we have another 1. And then I would solve this like normal. This little light bulb here says watch carefully because there's a negative sign. All right, let me show you. Let's do some. This is, again, don't worry about this. I'll take a fraction. I'll take a decimal. Happy, happy, happy. Okay, so let's look. Let me do a couple easy ones, and then I'll get you guys to try a couple harder ones. No, maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll do the harder ones. You guys try the easy ones. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to go down this side. So let me look at B, question B. All right, so for question B, there's a problem for me to solve this. I have an X here. I need him to be alone. I need to isolate that X. So the first thing I want to do is I need to get rid of this 3. I want to bring him up here. The easy way is that when I bring him up, he becomes multiplied. But really what we're doing is I'm going to multiply both sides, by 3. Okay, and that means my 3's will cancel only on the left, and I will be left with 2x equals 24. I'm running out of room there. So now what I do is now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I end up getting x equals 12. That's it. Easy. Well, no, maybe not easy, but not too bad if you know the method. There is a shortcut here. I could multiply each side by 3/2, which is what I basically did, but I did this in short steps. Let me check the chat before I move on. Nice. So Isra, Bilal, Samira, that's amazing. Thank you so much. All right, let's do another one. Number 7. Okay, actually, 7's a good one. 7's a good one. Well, there's, oh, sorry, not 7. Sorry, I'm looking at the number 7, D. The thing about these questions is there's so many ways to do this. Like I could worry about the 7 right now, and you guys might be thinking of bed mass. Let's get rid of the division 7 first, but that's the order of putting numbers together. It's not the order of like how we solve an algebraic question. So you don't need to think about bed mass here. I think what I'm going to do first, and this is totally an option. Like the beauty about algebra is you guys can solve this in any order you want. But for me, I think I'm going to move the 4 over first. So I would get 5x over 7 equals 14 minus 4. Remember, because it's a positive, it becomes a negative on the other side. So 5x over 7 equals 10. And then I want to multiply both sides by 7. And the reason is to get rid of that 7 there. Again, guys, what I'm basically doing is when I move the 7 to the other side of the equation, it becomes multiplied. So whatever way you guys want to think about it, but the other way to do it is when I move the 7 over, because it's divided on the left, it becomes multiplied on the right. But I think this method here is going to help you for a question like F, because if I multiply everything in the equation by 7, those cancel. So I end up getting 5x equals 70. X is going to equal what? 70, so 30, or sorry, 70 divided by 5, 14. There we go. Haha, no problem. Let me check the chat again, see what people are saying. Yeah, thanks everybody. Sometimes when I'm writing, I don't get the chance to see your answers. So like Fatima, Bilal, Samira, Abdullah, thank you so much for that. All right, let me do 2 more. I'm going to do 2 hard ones, F and H. And then I'm going to get you guys to practice some. Okay. F and H, they are much more intense than our previous questions. Let me zoom in and I'll do F like this. Okay. F, actually, maybe I don't need to do H. We'll see. Because F is a good one. It's already hard enough. Look at all these fractions. I don't want to deal with fractions. I want to get rid of them. But what I need to do is to think of a number, what we would call a lowest common multiple of 5, 4, and 2. Now, I don't know how to do this in my head for large numbers, not that these are large. I think the answer would be 20. But how would I know that? Well, there's a way to do this. And again, I know this looks like a lot of work, but this is how I do this, is I'm just going to write down the multiples of each number. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Those are my multiples of 5. Let's try 4. So we would get 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So that looks good. I see 20. And then 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 18, 20 again, 22, I'm not writing them down I'm not writing every multiple of 2 down. I know that the earliest multiple that they all share is 20. My lowest common multiple is 20. This was a tricky one. Well, it's not tricky, but it's not a small number like 6 or 10. If you look over at E, the lowest common multiple is 5, obviously. If you look down at something like G, the lowest common multiple for 2 and 3 is pretty simple. 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 9, 12. You get the idea, I hope. So actually, I picked a hard one. I don't think I am going to do H. I'm going to leave that for you guys. All right. Now, I'm not even close to being done. I still have to actually put my lowest common multiple to use. So let me get rid of my writing here. Let's see. It'll take me a second. So my lowest common multiple is 20. I'm just going to get rid of all this. All right. So what I do is I multiply every one of these fractions. Every one of these numbers gets multiplied by 20. So I'm writing it like this so I can change my color. So I multiply this by 20. I multiply this by 20. I multiply this number by 20. And I multiply this number by 20. Okay. Now, 20 divided by 5 leaves me with a 4. 20 divided by 4 leaves me with a 5. And 20 divided by 2 leaves me with a 10. So I'm going to write down what I have left. 4 times 3x times 80 equals 5 times 5x minus 20. Now this looks a lot easier. Let me check the chat. Okay, I got some answers. I don't know the answer yet, but let's check it out. So 12x, sorry guys, it's not times, it's plus. There we go, plus 80 equals 25x minus 20. So now what I'm going to do is move the 80 and the 25. So 12x minus 25x equals negative 20 minus 80. Whew. This, guys, is about as hard as you'd ever see them. So this would be negative 13x equals negative 100. Okay, I think that's right. I hope I'm doing this right. You guys can check my answers. And then I'm going to divide both of these by negative 13. And I'm done. Woo, that was a tough one. So x is negative 100 over 13. You could write this as a decimal as well. If you have a calculator that gives you this as a decimal, you could write this down as negative 769, whatever you want. I'm more of a fraction man at the beginning, and then towards the end, we'll be more into decimals. All right, guys.
Yeah, Mr. Mark.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but it is positive. It comes out
Yes.
positive.
Yeah. Yep. You're correct. Okay. So why is that positive? Because it's early and I'm tired. That's why it's positive. No. No.
No problem.
Yeah, it's positive. I can show you guys why it's positive. That was, again, sometimes, you make a mistake. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time. It's negative 13. So it's negative 100 divided by negative 13. And I really, really, really appreciate it when you guys correct my mistakes, because it helps, especially for the YouTube videos. When people are watching this, they need the right answer. So thank you so much for that. There you go. Whew, guys, that was a tough one. About as tough as they could get, to be honest.
Sir,
Yep.
can you show the question, please?
Show the question?
Yes.
Yep.
Minus half multiplied by 20. Oh, okay. Thank you. I was thinking about something else.
Yeah. Oh, did I make a mistake there too? Yeah, I made a mistake too, guys. Look at this. And nobody caught me on it. It's too early for this. But no, you're right. You're mentioning something there.
Well, 20, right?
Yeah.
10.
It's
10.
10. Yep.
Yes.
I give you bonus marks. It's minus 10. So this would be minus 90. Sorry about that. I got to wake up here. This is 90.
Yes.
I think we all got caught up.
Yep. It's so much work, right? And well, it's not so much work. It's so many little things. All right. So let's fix my decimal. Maybe
Mr. Mark, is there any simple steps for this, or this is the only step?
This is the only step. I don't think there's anything, no simple step. This is about as hard as they get, really.
It is a bit easy, but it's a lot of work. You could get caught up on the question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you bring up actually a really good point. Like the method is pretty easy, but there's so many steps. But like, look at what I did. I put in a 20 there instead of a 10. If you guys did that on a test, like this question would be worth like 4 or maybe 5 marks, like points, not marks, but points. If you did the mistake I did with the 10, you'd lose half of a point or less. Like I don't give people zeros if they mess up one thing. So it is a lot of work, but it's easy work. It's just be careful. If you're like me, you might make a little mistake. Well, let me do one more. This is taking me a bit longer than I thought, but this is tough, right? This is not an easy question. So let me do one more, and then I'll get you guys to practice. So this one, has at least an easier lowest common multiple. The lowest common multiple of 2 and 5. Think of a number that 2 and 5 are multiples of. Can anybody think of that? Want to tell me? A number that you can multiply 2 by, and a number that you can multiply 5 by.
10.
10.
I would say 10.
Yeah, so they're the same. Yeah. So like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then for 5, you get 5, 10, 15, 20. 10 is your answer. I'll give you guys a hint. Actually, you just asked if there's any tips or hints about this. Let me give you one hint that will help. If you guys don't know how to find that number, a good hint is to multiply them together. It'll work every time. In the above example, it might not be your lowest common multiple, but it will work. So even in F, if you multiplied these together, 5 times 4 times 2, you would get a bigger number. You would get what? 40. But it would still work. It would still work. So if you guys cannot find the lowest common multiple, you don't know how to do it, just multiply all these numbers together. Like looking at this example, what's the lowest common multiple, or what is a common multiple of 2 and 3? Well, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 works. So that's a good little hint to get you started there. If you can't find a number that works, just multiply them together. All right. So let's do this one. I'll take my time with this one. I think, you know what, guys, it's part being tired and it's part just going too fast. Let's take our time with this one and solve it. So 10 is my lowest common multiple. Thank you, Bashir and Isra, for giving me some of those answers. Okay, so let me take my time with this one, and inshallah, I won't make any mistakes. So 3y, speaking of mistakes, 3y over 5 plus 5 over 2 equals 1 over 2 minus y over 5. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by 10. Everything. The key for equations is if you do something to one number, you must do it to all numbers. So the 5 and the 10 cancel, I get a 2. The 2 and the 10 cancel, I get a 5, and a 2. So I'm going to write down what's left. Where's my pen here? Okay, so I'm going to get 2 times 3y plus 5 times 5 equals 5 minus 2y minus 5. Phew. Oh, sorry, not over 5, just 2y, not over 5. I caught my mistake before I went too far. The 5 canceled, of course, so just 2y. Okay, simplify. So 6y plus 25 equals 5 minus 2y. And now I'm going to move my y on the left and my number on the right. So 6y plus 2y equals 5 minus 25. And we're almost done. 8y equals negative 20. Let me check the chat to make sure I didn't make any more mistakes. I think so. Suher. You're saying this. Let me just make sure that I'm comfortable with that as well. Yep, we got the exact same answer. So now what I'm going to do, one last step. I'm going to divide both sides by 8. And I am halas, I'm finished. y equals negative 20 over 8, which you can reduce as a fraction. Your calculator will say this, negative 5 over 2. If you have a Casio calculator, it will say negative 5 over 2. If you don't have a Casio, if you have like maybe you're using your iPhone or Android phone, it would probably say negative 2.5. These are both fine by me. I'll take a fraction or a decimal. Whew. So that's a tough question. Very scary, but we did it. So I'm going now. That took me a lot longer than I thought, but that's okay. I'll leave that there for 1 second. Make sure you take it all in. Take a picture. It'll be on YouTube later, but I want you guys to try some, and I'm going to get you guys to try some easier ones. That's too far to zoom out. Hold on now. Maybe I can go side by side. Perfect. So I'm going too far. Scrolling too far back. Oh man. I wanted you guys to try A, but how am I going to do this? Sorry, I'm just trying to think of how I wanted to do this. Page display, 2-page scrolling. Nah. Okay. Well, I'm going to get you guys just to try these 3. Let me just go back to my normal view. I'm going to ask you guys to try these 3, C, E, and G. Okay, so try these. Take 5 minutes or so to do that, and then we'll move on. Okay, so take 5 minutes or so, and then we got 2 little topics left. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes. Good luck. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, guys, I'm seeing a couple answers in there. I got one for C. I got some for G and E. That's excellent. All right. So just take another 30 seconds or so to finish off what you're working on, and we'll very quickly look at the answers. Okay. So just take a few minutes, finish up, or not a few minutes, few seconds, finish up the one you're working on, and we'll look at the answers. It's tough because it's Ramadan. We only have an hour and a half, and it's in intersession, which means everything is like double, so 2 classes per class. So I can't spend too much time, but make sure you practice these. Like there's a lot of examples here that you should practice. We did a lot of these. I probably shouldn't have done as many as I did, but this is tough. So I really wanted you guys to see this. It's not the easiest type of question. All right, let's look at the answers. Okay, so I got a lot of answers in the chat. We'll check those now as I go through these. And I'm going to go through these answers a little quicker than normal so we can get, there's two more little topics I want to talk about. So C and E, guys, in C and E, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply everything by 5 to get rid of that fraction. So in C, I'm going to multiply everything, like I said, by 5. Doesn't matter which, like I'm writing -2 times 5. It doesn't matter what order they're in. So I end up getting 2x equals 20x minus 10. I'm going to move the 20 over. So I get 2x minus 18x equals a -10. That's -16x equals -10. And then that means x.
2x minus 20.
Oh, why did I write 18? I'm thinking, you know what I was, you know what I was doing? I was thinking ahead of the answer.
Yeah. The answer is 18.
Yeah, the answer. See, it's hard to talk sometimes and write. Thank you for that. You saved me. So this becomes -10 over -18, which your calculators will simplify for you. Your lovely calculators. Depending on your brand of calculator, you would get 5 over 9, or your calculator might tell you that it's 0.5 repeated, or we could say 5/6. All right, let me check the chat here. All right. Perfect. So a lot of people, like I'm not going to scroll up the whole way, but for like Bilal for question C said X is 0.555. That's fine. I rounded it to 5/6, but I'm not going to worry too much about that on a test or something. All right, for E is, I love E, nice and simple. So I'm going to multiply everything by 5. And I'm just going to do that right here. And the reason I'm doing that here is because now my 5s will cancel on everything. And what I'm left with, well, except for this, and what I'm left with is 8x minus 6 equals 10x minus 2. Now this becomes pretty easy to solve now. I'm going to get 8x minus 10x, -2 plus 6. Excuse me. So I end up getting a -2x equals 4. X will be -2. All right. Any questions on that one? I heard somebody's mic. No? Okay. Whew. All right. G. Excuse me. Now, like I mentioned with G, I don't have a nice easy number here like 5. I have a 2 and a 3. So the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3, well, just multiply them together. 6. So I'm going to multiply everything by 6. Okay, so 6 times x plus 5 over 2 equals 6 times x plus 4 over 3. When I cancel, 6 over 2 leaves me with a 3. 6 over 3 leaves me with a 2. So 3x plus 5 equals 2x plus 4. So 3x plus 15, 2x plus 8. Whew, a lot of work, right? And I end up getting 3x minus 2x equals 8 minus 15. And finally, my answer would be 8 minus 15 is a -7. Did I do that right? I hope so. Let me check the chat. Yeah, okay. Most people got a -7 there. Woo, okay, we're done. All right, well, we're not done for today, but we're done this challenging topic. It'll get a little bit less crazy now in a second, I hope. So what I want to do today for the rest of this class is I want to finish topic 6. So I'll leave these for you guys to practice. I want to talk about literal equations. This is very, very important for science and business people. Now, you might say, I'm not in science, but by science, I mean the engineering students or the medical science students. This is really important. Also important for business people. This, for example, the first equation here is a business equation about the interest and the principal and things and time and rate. And then this is a sciencey one, converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So we're going to look at these. And then I don't know how much time I'm going to have, but I really want to introduce word problems, because your assignment, the last question on your assignment, is a word problem. And I won't get this done, but I'll get this introduced. Sorry, I just want to see something. Sorry, guys. Okay, cool. We won't do all that, obviously. I just wanted to see what was coming up. Did I? Oh, I went way too far. Hold on. I'll check the chat too, because there's somebody writing in the chat there. All right. So, yes. Okay, sorry. I just read a question. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a private message to me, but I am going to read this out, but I'm not going to focus on this because it's a little bit ahead of what we're talking about. But the private message I got in the chat was, for G, could I do cross multiplication? And yes, you can, but we haven't done that yet. Cross multiplication wouldn't work for anything else. Like it wouldn't work for H, it wouldn't work for F or even E, but it would work for something like G. And that's not, don't worry. If you don't know what cross multiplication is, do not worry about it. But for the student who asked me that, the answer is yes. So what's a literal equation? Well, a literal equation is solving an equation or a formula given a variable, meaning we're not going to worry about getting an answer. A literal equation is like an equation, you know, something you'd see in chemistry or physics or business. And it's solving the equation without using numbers. Now, when I say solving, we're not going to get a number like 5 or 2 over 3, but we're going to, what I would say, rearrange the equation to solve for a particular variable. So look at question number 1. Let me check the chat as well before I move on. Okay, no problem. Cool. So guys, question number 1, if any of you are business students, this is a business equation about interest, principal, rate, and time. That's what these letters stand for. I won't get into that because this is not business. We don't need to know what the letters stand for. But what I'm saying or asking is solve the variables, or sorry, solve the equation for the variable. Okay, and it's pretty straightforward. This is really, like I said, useful for science students, engineering, med science, and business students, maybe IT. I've taught at business, I've taught engineering, I've taught med science. I've never taught courses like IT or programs like IT, sorry. So, but for everybody else, I can tell you this is very important. Okay, so number one, I equals PRT. I want to solve it for R. Well, this is really what I talked about earlier. I want to get R by itself. Now, you do not have to do this first step. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't put a star there, put a little arrow there. Step number one says to switch the equation around to put the unknown on the left. That is fine if you want to do that. You don't need to, but we do like to have our variables on the left. So the first thing I do is I just switch the equation. I flip it. PRT equals I is exactly the same thing as this. There's no step here. There's no multiplying or dividing. At any time, you can flip an equation, meaning the left and the right switch places. That's the beauty of equations. Now I want to solve for R, but there's a PT in the way. So I'm going to divide both sides by PT. So they cancel and you get your answer. I'm obviously going to show you how to do this in a minute. Number two is a little more difficult. Number two, this is the formula for converting from American Fahrenheit. I say American, it's the imperial, but the Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. And I want you to solve number two for Celsius. Again, when I say solve, I don't mean like to get an answer like 10. I want you to, have the equation so that it says C equals, not F equals. So first thing I do, I flip the equation so that C is on the left now, and then my F is on the right. Again, all I did was I just switched the sides. Nasser has his hand raised. Do you have a question?
Mr. Mark, do I have to solve the question in the simplest form, like not find the answer, like furthermore, or just like C equals something? That's it. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. So like I do want it in simplest form, as in, you should reduce any fractions.
Okay.
But that's it. Like C equals something, that's the answer.
That's the answer.
Yeah, R equals something, that's the answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. This, I won't spend too much time on this because, again, in math, we're typically dealing with numbers. Like we're going to solve the answer, like C is equal to 3, right? Or R is equal to 0.5. But this is a good process for you guys in your future science and engineering and business courses. So step number one, I'm going to flip the sides so that I have my C on the left. Now, I want to get rid of the 5. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. Notice that everything gets multiplied by 5. So here's this question. Okay, there's everything multiplied by 5. Now, I don't want this 160 here, right? I'm trying to get this C all alone. So I'm going to move the 160 over so it becomes minus. And then I'm going to divide everything by 9. And you'll notice the 9s cancel and you get your answer. Let me do something. Let me show you this. I want to do, okay, I'm just going to do one of these and then I'm going to get you guys to practice. No, maybe I'll do 2. I'm going to do 2 hard ones and then I'm going to get you guys to practice some simpler ones. Okay, okay, B I can show you, or E I can show you really quick. So let me show you these 3. And I'm picking E because it's so quick. I want you guys to solve for B. So that means you need to get the A and the C away. Well, oops, I didn't mean to put the equal sign there. When the A gets moved, it becomes minus A. When the C gets moved, it becomes minus C. That's it. Done. So the only difference here is instead of using numbers, we're using variables, we're using letters, but there's really no difference here. Now, G and H are a little harder. So I want you to solve G for the letter R. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to flip this equation. So when I say flip, all I mean is the left and the right switch sides. And this makes sure that I have my R on the left. All right, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move the P over. So this becomes PRT equals A minus P, big P, capital P. There's two P's there for some reason, but that's okay. There's a lot of things we could do with this. We could factor, but we're not getting into factoring yet. Now, I have a P and a T here that I need to get rid of. So what I'm going to do is and I'll pick another color for this. Ooh, can I pick another color? Oh, there we go. Okay, my toolbar is back. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pick blue because I'm going to now get rid of the P and the T by dividing. Okay, and I'll get my answer. My answer is, let me go back to red. R, so the P and T cancel, is equal to A minus P over PT. Whew. All right, let me check the chat. All right, I'm getting some answers from Samira. Let me check them. Your G is perfect, Samira. Let's check your H. And then, guys, I'm going to get you guys to try a couple. So H, I want to solve this for Y. So first things first, I'm going to move that 2x over. 3y equals 6 minus 2x. Now I want to get rid of the 3, so I'm going to divide everything by 3. So y equals 6 minus 2x over 3. Done. Easy. Nothing to it. So excuse me, why don't you guys practice a couple of these? Depending on your time, why don't you guys try A, B, C, and D? And I'll be back in a minute or two to check your answers. All right, so try these 4 and I will be back to check your answers. Good luck. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Mister,
Yes?
I have a question. For
Yep.
H, I can divide 6 over 3, it will become 2. Then minus 2 over 3, it will become minus 2 over 3. We are not divided all of them.
Sorry, I got muted there. Don't do anything else here. You're finished. If you start dividing the 6 by 3, you have to break up the fraction, and that's making it more complicated. This is finished. Don't divide the 6 and 3 because then you're stuck with the 2. Don't do anything else.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, I'm getting lots of answers in the chat there. Just take another minute or two and we'll go through the answers in a minute. Don't forget, guys, you have to practice this. So if you're having trouble with anything we did today, make sure you practice, practice, practice. Finish the workbook, right? Try as many of these questions as you can. All right, so let's look at your answers here. There we go. Let's get rid of this. Let's check out your answers. And then I just got one more thing to show you and then we're done. Check the chat first. Okay, so I'm getting some answers in the chat. Let's check them out. So for A, I want to solve for T. So first thing I'm going to do is write it like this. And then I'm going to divide both sides by PR. So T is equal to I over PR. Perfect, not too bad. Ooh, this B is nice and easy. The first thing I'm going to do is reverse the sides. So 4S equals P. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So S is P over 4. All right, cool. Okay, people are still putting answers in, so that's great. C, I want to solve for W. So LWH equals V. I'm going to divide both sides by L and H. So that means W is V over LH. Okay, and the last one, D. I want to solve for L. So first thing I'm going to do is write it reversed. I'm going to put the variable on the left. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the W over. So 2L equals P minus 2W. I'll kind of make my L look like that. Now what I want to do is get rid of the 2. So L equals P minus 2W over 2. Sorry about the mess there. And as another student mentioned a few minutes ago, don't do anything with this. Don't divide or try to get rid of the 2. You're done. So here, let me write that again. The answer would be L is P minus 2W over 2. That's it. don't do anything with the 2. Don't divide anything. Don't cancel anything. We're finished. Phew. All right, no worries, guys. If you make a mistake or anything like that, it's fine. Just make sure you practice some of this. There's a few more practice problems you can try. So I'm gonna leave it like that. And guys, I'm just gonna take maybe 10 minutes or so. We were supposed to start this yesterday, but we'll start it today, of course. We're about 1 class behind, which is okay. We're still doing okay for time. But I just want to introduce topic 7, and hopefully we can finish topic 7 tomorrow, because tomorrow, like I mentioned to you guys, you will get your assignment, and your assignment will cover topics 1 to 7. I think there's only there's only about 7 questions. There's 1 question from each topic, okay? So anyways, let's get going. Oh, somebody just asked me if I could do question H real quick. I did do question H. Yeah, no problem. If you want to see question H, you might want to check the recording, but I did do it. The answer is there. Okay, so check that out. Oh, you mean I. Okay, I can do this really quick. So a student, I think it's a private message. A student just said, could I show them question I? Yes. I want to solve question I for Z. So the first thing I'm going to do with question I is 3/4xz or Z equals Y. The first thing I do is I flip the sides. Now, what I want to do is first I want to get rid of the 4. So I'm going to multiply everything by 4. Oops. Which cancels the 4. So this leaves me with 3xz equals 4y. Now what I want to do is get rid of the x's and the 3's. So I divide both sides by 3x. And I'm left with z equals 4y over 3x. There you go. Thank you, Fatima. Excellent, excellent. Yes, Bashir, I'm getting a private message. I'm not going to read your message out loud because it might confuse people, but Bashir, I think I'm saying your name right. The answer is yes. No, actually the answer is no. You can multiply it by 4/3, not 3/4. But you're welcome, Sultan. No problem for that. Okay. So I'm running low on time. We were supposed to start this today, which kind of makes me sad. So I only have enough time to introduce this, but guys, please come tomorrow. Tomorrow's class is very important. These are like, again, I don't have much time. We unfortunately, the Ramadan schedule means I have to end at 10:30. Now, I normally don't like teaching more than an hour and a half anyways, because I mean, there's only so much math our brains can take. But we have a hard finish time right now at 10:30 because it's Ramadan and I have a class after this. So I don't have much time. But it's really important that you guys come to class tomorrow or watch class tomorrow. We are going to do topic 7. It's on word problems. And word problems can be challenging, not only for English as a second or foreign language students. You know, most of you, I can see in the WhatsApp group, primarily speak Arabic, English. Even for a native English speaker like myself, this can be challenging. You have to really think about the words, the order of the sentence. And what we're going to do is we're going to take word problems and turn them into mathematical expressions. This is so important for my business students. It does apply to engineering and medical science and IT and all the other programs at the college. But I know for like, I taught business math for a few years. This is so important for you business math students. What we're going to do is we're going to turn or convert a word problem into a math equation using variables. Okay, so this is review. We already know what a variable is. We already know what an algebraic expression is. These are expressions, and each of these things are called terms. We already know that. But I want you guys to, maybe I'll give you homework. Not that I ever give anybody homework, but between now and tomorrow's class, I want you guys to read this stuff and the stuff below. Now, what do I mean? In English, there are words that mean addition. There are words that mean subtraction. There are words that mean multiplication, and there are words that mean division. And my homework assignment for you, and not that I ever give you any homework besides maybe a assignment, but tonight or tomorrow morning before class, read some of these words. Some words that mean addition would be like plus, more than, increase than. So if I wanted to represent x plus 6, these are all the ways I could do it. A number added to 6. The sum means addition. The sum of a number and 6. 6 more than a number. Make sure you read these. You don't have to memorize this, but you should understand. And again, this is where it gets tough. There's a bit of communications in here, a little bit of English or communications. Subtraction, I'm going to warn you, subtraction is the hardest one because the order of subtraction matters. -8 plus x, 8 minus x is not the same as x minus 8. So with subtraction, you have to be very careful. A few ways to represent subtraction of x minus 8. I could say a number, x, subtract 8. A number minus 8. The difference between a number and 8, like there's so many ways. These two are where it gets challenging. 8 less than a number. Very, very important, this one. You have to be very careful with this. A lot of people think 8 less than a number means this, which I'm sorry, it's so messy. What I had written there was x minus 8. Let me clean that up. Sorry. So a lot of people think 8 less than a number means this. No. 8 less than a number means x minus 8. 8 less than a number. So you would take the number and subtract 8 from it. Very, very challenging, but very, very important. Just 2 more minutes here. Words that mean multiplication. This is multiplication and divided are easy. Multiplied by, times, so like 3 times a number. The product, this is the fancy word for multiplication, product. So if I said the product of 7 and a number, 7x. And finally, division. Basically these two. I'm going to try to avoid this using the word quotient. We don't use quotient a lot in real life, but I could say, you know, a number divided by 15. That's x over 15. A number divided into 15 would be this. So we're going to do more of this tomorrow. But what I want you guys to do is maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, just read this page. Kind of familiarize yourselves with this, and then we're going to practice, and this is challenging. Okay, So that's it, guys. I'm done. Have a great day. I'll put this up on YouTube after this class, but that's it for me. Okay, and if there's, thank you so much. And if there's any questions, let me know.